hate podiums. Thanks for all coming. Appreciate it. Again, we figured we'd just get you all in one room here and answer questions that we can. In that regard, we all found out probably all at roughly the same time, about 1:15 today, that the NCAA has decided to forego the men's and women's basketball tournament, along with all winter championships, and then along with all spring sports and championships. So it's not just a basketball thing, though basketball, of course, is at the forefront of all of our minds, especially here at Gonzaga, here in Spokane, where we were expecting to have actually both our men's and women's basketball teams getting to stay home and represent not just Gonzaga but Spokane on the national stage here. So it is, it is what it is. So questions?
My coach Few was on ESPN when they broke it. He talked about the postponement of the tournament possibility, and for uneducated people like me, if you keep fans out of it and gives you flexibility of arenas, it doesn't look as difficult as other big events would be. Is there part of that we don't understand? Why was that not more taken into consideration?
Well, that I don't know for sure, Keith. I mean, I know that it wasn't just Mark Emmert. It was Mark Emmert and his staff and the Board of Governors, which involves a number of presidents in making this decision. We were all hoping, based on what transpired last night and then early this morning, with the NBA shutting down and then Major League Baseball and then the NHL, and that instead of canceling, we were really hoping for a postponement of some sort and allowing things to play out and see if maybe if we postponed it for a short period of time, that whatever that period of time would be, that we would then have the opportunity to reevaluate. But for some reason that wasn't the case, and I'm not sure why, but at the same time I can't question it either because I don't know all the factors in that regard. It was it's been really difficult. It's difficult for all of us as adults and as staff people, but we just recently met with the women's basketball team and the men's basketball team just minutes ago, and it's really, really difficult. And there's no words to describe it. Actually, saying it's unfortunate isn't strong enough. Saying it's devastating news isn't strong enough in that regard. But it's also something that Coach Few did a great job with the men's squad just a few minutes ago, and putting something into perspective. And that was something that he said that was talked about this morning. He was on a call with a number of other high-profile coaches at other blue blood institutions, talking about how we could hopefully get it to be postponed. But one of the things that the coaches talked about, and that Mark told our team, was if one person doesn't get sick and if one person doesn't pass away because of us having to cancel the tournament, is it worth it? And when we think about, some of us think about our families, especially when we're talking about elderly folks, our parents, those types of things, it puts it in perspective. And Coach Few did a great job with that, with our men's team right now. And still, there's nothing there's no salve to soothe that wound. It's something that they're going to carry with them the rest of their lives, and a number of us will, especially the special opportunity that we had here with Spokane. And the Spokane community has been so great to both our men's and women's basketball teams for such a long period of time, and continuing to be. And for us to miss out on this opportunity is just a really unfortunate thing for our fans and for the Spokane community. But again, it's now we're going to be judged on how we handle it. And that's one of the things we talked to both men's and women's basketball teams about is, it's easy to handle 31 wins. It's easy to handle 28 wins. It's not, you get judged on how you handle the 2 losses, or on the ladies' side of the 3 losses. In our case, we're going to be, sometimes we get judged on how we handle adversity, and as our 18 to 22-year-olds, as they move on in life, they're going to run into adversity. And this is one that's completely outside of our control. We can't control any of it, and now we just have to be able to handle it moving forward. And I know I'm 100% confident in our coaches and our student athletes. And Coach Few just did an excellent job with his team of how to put that in that kind of perspective, especially in a year where on that men's squad, we would have gone into the tournament as not only a 1 seed, but depending upon what would have happened with the other tournaments, we could have been a number 1 overall seed. We could definitely be, and some prognosticators had us as a favorite, going, even a week or two ago as a favorite going in. And it's really unfortunate that we don't get a chance on the floor to prove that.
What kind of range of reactions did you see from the athletes?
As expected, there's a lot of emotion involved there, and rightfully so. They've been working not just all this year, but for some of them it's been their whole life that's what their focus has been. And for some of them, this is a culmination. This is the peak of not just getting the NCAA tournament. Yeah, this would have been, or will be, I guess we can still say we're qualified for the tournament. So it's 22 straight years on the men's side, and so that's been a great thing. But we don't take any one of those for granted. And here is the opportunity that was now not made available to our student athletes is unfortunate. It's something that's happened, but yeah, there's a lot of emotion right now. And one of the things we talked about, one of the things our staff we've talked about today is there's really not anybody to be mad at. We can be mad at a virus, and for sure we're all mad at this virus, but there's decisions being made, but you can't really get mad at some of these decisions just because there's a lot of factors. And like I said, Mark put it in a great perspective. If we've saved one life by doing this, it's kind of hard to argue because that's somebody's mom or somebody's dad or somebody's brother or son or uncle or whatever might be the case. And sports is a great thing. And college athletics is one of the greatest things about America, one of the greatest things that we have going for us as a society, in my opinion. And I'm a little biased on that one. But when it gets taken away from us, we realize how important it really is, but sometimes we have to put it in the scheme of things too. And health of our society, the physical health of our society is more important, and there's no argument on that one.
Do you have a message to those outgoing seniors that worked so tirelessly to get to this point in their careers, some possibly even going to the NBA next season, for both men and women? I mean, it's a really difficult day, and it's an emotionally filled day for those seniors.
And that's the hardest thing. Again, a senior now, in our case, on both sides, they don't get to play their last game. Actually, they played their last game, and now they knew they were going to get to keep playing, and now they don't get that opportunity. And it's not just for them, but it's also for their teammates, because the team, every year, if this is the case, every year, the next year is going to be a different team. And in this year's case, this group on both sides, again, we're combined, what's the math there? 59 and 5? Is that math right, Todd? Yeah. 59 and 5. That's crazy, right? I mean, you think about that. Little old Gonzaga. 59 and 5. Women are ranked 11th in the country, and the men are 2nd in the country and have been for weeks and weeks. We spent a couple of weeks at number 1. They're never going to be together again getting to play the game, and that's really unfortunate. But that happens every year at some point. Hopefully this year, we were hoping it wouldn't happen until sometime in April after we got down cutting down the nets. But that's now happened a lot earlier, and it's a really hard time every year. In this case, it's just the magnitude is just so much greater because not having the opportunity to play and not having that opportunity to go out there one last time with your teammates and win another game. And especially when they've worked so hard. And we all realize, let's all go back to October or November 1st, and we're thinking about where these two teams were going to be. And now where they are today, and if anybody in this room says they thought the men were going to be 31-2, you're lying. Okay, we didn't think that we would be that good, and yet we are that good, and we've proven it on the floor. And the other great thing is that we got to see it again on Tuesday night. with the men after, during their celebration, they represent this university so well. How they win with humility, and when we do get beat, they lose with dignity. And the same with the ladies on Monday night. That was a tough loss, but they handled themselves great in representing us. And ultimately, again, that's one of the things we're trying to do with our young people on a regular basis, and for that matter, ourselves. And again, we're going to be judged on our worst days. And so we got to make sure that we're doing that right. And we get watched a lot. People are paying attention to what we do, and yet we're judged not what we do when everybody's looking. We're judged by how we do and what we do when no one's looking.
Mike, you touched on this at the very beginning, but it was going to be tough no matter what. But both these teams earned the right to play in Spokane. We've never seen anything like what was about to happen. How much harder is that?
Oh, I think it's hard. I think it's harder on all of us maybe than even our student athletes. But it's hard for our fans. It's hard for our staff. I mean, they work so hard to and they earn this opportunity. See, no one is giving it to them. That's one thing I think some people, we're going to have this opportunity to play in Spokane. Yeah, because we earned it. Both teams earned it. And it's just really too bad for Spokane. Not just Gonzaga, but Spokane. Spokane has done such a fantastic job of being Spokane for Gonzaga. And to miss out on this opportunity to have the hometown team here, playing here, having our fans be a part of that in any way, shape, or form. And then, it was bad enough the other day when it was no fans, but we were still going to get to play, and now not even getting to play. It's a double whammy, that's for sure.
There's been a lot of talk today that whether it's a pipe dream or not about making a special one-year exemption for seniors to allow them to return for one more year. A, how logistically is that possible? B, would you support that?
I'd support anything, but I think logistically it'd be completely impossible. It's one thing if you're talking about a sport that hasn't even started yet. Let's say there's a spring sport that they've all started by now, but they haven't played any games yet, let's say. That's one thing, but everybody has played the whole season. There's nobody that is still playing their regular season. There was some teams that were in their conference tournament when this came down, but then you're saying that then they get to play another year. I don't know how you logistically do that. Plus, when you look at every institution is already recruited for next year, and then based on the seniors that are going to be graduating, where do the scholarships come from? You only have 13 in men's basketball, 15 in women's basketball. So that's the part that, that's an emotional thing, and I understand why people would feel that emotionally, but I'm not sure logistically that could ever be pulled off in any way, shape, or form. And this is, this isn't something that anybody created. Again, it'd be one thing if this was an issue that someone created. This is not. This is act of God.
How possible would a May Madness have been?
Yeah, well, the M's would still work, so I think that'd be pretty easy because you could go May Madness instead of March Madness. We all thought that could be done. We thought could be a way to do that. I'm not sure that our emotion says that. Does the practicality say it? That's hard to say. I mean, what openings? Let's just keep it local. What openings does the Spokane Arena have going forward for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? So a lot of arenas that you're playing your opening round, and then the opening weekend, and the next weekend, and then off to a Final Four. They're usually booked way in advance on those things. So then it becomes, do you then move it to someplace else? And there was talk, of course, when they talked about just yesterday when they were talking about no fans, and then there was a discussion of, well, do we need to play in as big of buildings? Do we need to play in Atlanta in the whatever dome, Mercedes Dome there? And it'd be great from that standpoint. I think everybody would think that's a great idea because playing on the elevated floor in a big giant football stadium hasn't historically been the best basketball. But that's a moot point now. And so, this is just what it is.
Mike, with the spring sports, they canceled championships. Are they going to try to come back and play any games so the seniors can play, or is this in essence just end it all?
Well, most conferences have come out already today. Actually, prior to the NCAA announcements, a number of conferences came out with either suspension indefinitely or cancellations of all their spring sports. And so, no, I don't believe there's going to be anything moving forward. It really, again, doesn't change. The reason we're not playing games is because we're trying to limit the potential spread of this virus. And so to play games or do things in that sense is defeating the purpose of cutting back to start with, or canceling all these championships and thus all the contests. So
Are all of your sports then shut down?
yes. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time. I do hope that you guys understand and respect that now is not a great time to be talking with our student athletes. So I really appreciate your guys' willingness to respect that with them. Not to say that down the road there might be an opportunity to discuss things with them as we get past some of this raw emotion. And I'll stick around for individual questions or anything like that, but we really appreciate your support. And as much as anything, again, try to, when you're writing or putting the story out this evening, just let Spokane know how much Gonzaga University loves them, and that we really feel not just for our kids and not just for our staff, but we feel for Spokane. So thank you.